Chapter 8 of the Wise Enchanter. I think we're ready to find the letter H. How can we be sure we'll find our way back to the boat? Sifo asked. The landscape is changing so quickly. I have the compass, Michael said. We just have to retrace our steps when we've gone as far as we think we should. Leaves crunched beneath their feet. There was a definite chill in the air, and as they made their way into the trees, they saw that it was fall, and that golden red leaves lay spread out beneath their feet like a brilliant carpet. Soon they were quite deep in the forest, and when they turned to look back, they could not tell from which direction they'd come. All around them, trees stood like waving giants. Leaves rustled in the breeze and came spiraling down like a shower of amber and gold over the four children. Their noses were red with cold. A branch snapped overhead, and Michael looked up and up. Everyone stopped and tilted back their heads to look at what Michael was looking at. There, high above their heads, was a tree house, or a large platform fitted neatly between two tall, strong trees. Right near the trunk of one of the supporting trees stood a long, thin ladder. What was the noise, the crack? Rukmini whispered. A squirrel or something, I think, Lawrence said. Michael looked at his friends. We must go and see what's up there, he said. You first, Rukmini said. Michael began to climb the ladder. Higher and higher he went until the ground looked far away. Reaching the top, he hoisted himself onto the platform. He almost fell down with surprise, for standing there on a solid wooden wedge against the trunk of the tree, with a beard as long and as a foaming white river, a face as wise and withered as old bark, and eyes as deep as rock pools, stood a strange man. In his hands he had held 2 giant walnuts, and he was cracking them in his palms. Oops, stuttered Michael. I beg your pardon, sir. I didn't know anyone was up here. He looked over his shoulder at the ladder and began to make his way down. The old man seemed not nearly as startled to see Michael. Have no fear, boy. Stay and tell. Are you a real human boy? Of course, said Michael, holding on to the sides of the ladder until his knuckles grew white. Yes, of course you are. You look like a real boy. Do you know where you are, boy? Not exactly. You have come far, far into the realm of the Enchanted Islands. I heard rumors, whispers on the wind, that there were children coming, but it's been such a long time, such a very long time, that I doubted my own ears. This is good, boy, this is good. Are there more of you? 3 others, and an animal. Are they near? Below the tree. Then fetch them up, boy. You can eat with me if berries and nuts please you. I haven't had company in 100 years. Go on, fetch them up. So this is how it happened that Sifo, Rukmini, Michael, and Lauren, and the fast-asleep dormouse who didn't, enjoyed a berry and a nut feast with the hermit who hid from the world in his high house. I left your world many years ago when I was young, said the hermit. I don't know how I left that world behind. It's hard to tell when one crosses from one world to another, but I knew I'd found my way through just as you now have, and here I've stayed, hidden from everyone until now. Why are you hiding? Lauren asked. I have no heart for the horrible racket, the heat, and the crowds of your world. I abhor the noise, that means hate. The noise with no words and no music. I had to find a place to hide. Tell me, children, are there any beautiful places left in your world? I heard they are fast disappearing. There are some, said Michael quietly, remembering to listen carefully. Definitely, there are a few. Ah, that is good then. And why are you here? Asked the hermit, but his eyes twinkled as though he didn't really need to know the answer. The 4 children looked at one another. We're trying to get to the castle of the Wise Enchanter, Michael said. It's very difficult. But you have found your way to the Enchanted Islands. That is the first step, and that is good. I can't tell you which way to go since I have no idea. You see, very few people have ever reached the castle itself, and no one has been there since I have been here. But I can tell you one thing. If you keep going straight through the forest, it will end. At the end are two paths. One path is the right way. The other is the left way. One of these paths is the true way and will take you where you need to go. But you can only know which one is which once you have gone the way of your choice for some time. Please tell us, they called out at once. What if the right way is the wrong way, or the left way is the right way? Lauren asked. It sounds confusing. The dormouse stirred, turning around in the bag as if he'd heard the conversation, but didn't wake up. Yes, of course it does, but once you've done it, everything will be perfectly clear. And what about our boat? Sifo asked. We've left it on the beach. Will we find it again? Not to worry, dear boy, not to worry, said the hermit, and he smiled. It will all be all right. Here, take some berries with you and some nuts if you like. It's beginning to get colder. I'd hurry on if I were you. Thanks, Lauren said, and opened the bag with the magic book to make room for more supplies. The book tumbled out of its careful wrapping and fell open on the page with the G. The children gasped. A sudden gust of wind blew a whole lot of leaves across the page, and the hermit reached down, picked up the book, and blew the leaves from the pages before carefully closing the book again and handing it to Lauren. Thank you, she said, and placed the book in the bag. Michael hoisted the other bag with the sleeping dormouse onto his shoulders and shook the hermit's hand. Thank you, sir, he said politely. The hermit winked and watched as the children climbed down from his high house in the trees. They continued walking through the forest until evening came, noticing that there were now fewer trees before them. The forest had begun to clear, but they were tired and found a circle of trees where they decided to rest for the night. They unpacked the food, the blankets, and the dormouse, who seemed to have missed the entire day. Then Lauren took out the magic book because she meant to repack it carefully for the rest of the journey. As she opened it, a light breeze flipped the pages until the book lay open at the last picture. Lauren and Sifo and Rukmini and Michael and the dormouse were silent for several seconds. There, drawn by an unseen hand, was a picture of the hermit hiding in his high house, talking to Michael. And as Michael looked at the picture of the house in the tree, he said quietly, "How did he do that? It's an H, a huge H. He really helped us. This really is a magic book." Remember when the leaves blew over it and the hermit brushed them away? It must have painted the picture then. And this is the picture that was painted in the magic book. Or drawn there, I guess you couldn't say painted. So they got the letter H. Well, they're making their way through the alphabet. I can't wait for chapter